Just about. That's all right.
About.
How many of you just feel wonderful every Sunday morning you get up to go to the pulpit? And to preach? Well, we're going to leave Dennis out. No. I mean, you just feel so energized. Is there any time that you just got to really ask the Lord to give you strength to get through?
Yes.
Is it? Does it? Well, I'm going to say to you, I'm going to let you know this, because certainly I'm not a pastor. But the lack of knowledge, not knowing what Jesus says about everything, not only the people, we will be destroyed. I'm telling you, if I didn't know the word to know what God says about every situation, I wouldn't make it either. And I just say that because I look at look at pastors sometimes and I go, they have a real tough job. You really do. You really have a tough. But if you're rooted and you have the word, then we can all make it through.
Amen.
So this morning, just for a few minutes, I wanted to say that we appreciate you, pastors. I think that's what it is. I want to say we appreciate you. A thin line between the role of the Sunday school superintendent and the director of Christian education. How many of you, of course, you have a superintendent? Raise your hand. Of course. How many of you have, in addition to a superintendent, a director of Christian education? I really need to see your hands. Okay. How many of you have a superintendent, but he or she works as both of these? Ah, that's a lot. Okay, that's good. Some churches are too small to have two different people. But a good Sunday school can still run off of the person being both of these. But where the conflict comes is when there are two. You have a superintendent and you have a director of Christian education. Not necessarily does it have to have conflict, but until you know the roles of each, or they know the roles of each, it sometimes, can I use the word conflict? Because that's what it is.
Yes.
All right, so today all we want to do, I have some handouts for you. At the end, I'll have my, I'll have my email if you want me to email you this presentation and you can add on to it, right? So, thin line, and I say a thin line because this person can do this job if necessary. This person, if needed, can do this. But there are still some lines, some differences, okay? And so really I'm talking to those of you who have two distinct people. All right, so. True or false? The director of Christian education is in charge of the Sunday school. Raise your hand. True or false? The director of Christian education is in charge of the Sunday school. Okay.
False.
How many agree with it? Talk up, don't be scared. Come on. That's true. The director of Christian education is not necessarily in charge of the Sunday school, especially if you have a superintendent. Now, the role of the DCE is limited to the Sunday school. No, but you know what? We always put directors of Christian education with Sunday school. Now let me tell you, the DCE is responsible, let's say for all training in the church. We have a missionary president, we have a brotherhood president, we have the usher board, we have the minister, well, I'll just say, well, that's enough, okay? But that DCE is supposed to sit with that person to help come up with the training. And let me tell you where that training comes from, all right? Now, I don't know why they just always go to Christian education and then some of these auxiliary presidents, they don't want the DCE in there, can I say their business? They really don't, because we have been acclimated to think that the DCE only works with the Sunday school. That is not so, all right, okay? What is the difference? Let's go. Now, if you don't know the difference between the superintendent and the director of Christian education, this is what you're going to get. This is exactly what you're going to get, a clash. Because what happens, each one of these people think they have ownership. Now, I don't know why it is, but in church we have ownership. You make me the president, I'm owning the auxiliary. But it's something about it, we can't even talk about that because Bishop Board, we only have just I just elevated him, Elder Board, okay? But you will have a conflict if you don't get that right, okay? So let's see. Now, the qualifications, the DCE. First of all, the DCE fully supports the vision of the pastor, which means the DCE must sit with the pastor to determine what his or her goal is or vision is for the church. If he says he wants to talk about, for this particular year, evangelism, that DCE needs to be right in there in that session with him or her, talking about what the pastor wants the entire church to address during the year. The DCE should have good people skills. And I guess I should go over there with the Sunday school superintendent, because we should have better than good. Because we work with little children, but the biggest thing, we work with some adults every Sunday, okay? So we should have even better. But I'm just saying good people skills, that if you don't like what I'm saying, we can work it out. Just because you get a title, to me, I don't know what happens, but when we get titles, we don't want to listen to anybody else, all right? But a DCE, because that person is over all of your, not over, but involved with all your auxiliaries, you want to make sure that person has good people skills, okay? Have a history of faithfulness in the area of Christian education. Now, sometimes what happens in our churches, we have new people come in and they have credentials up to gazoo. They got this master's, they got this, they got that. Oh, they're doctor this and doctor that. But did you ever work with Sunday school? No. Is that your person? No. No, not, okay, let's make it sure, because I don't ever want anybody to go back and say, you shouldn't be in there. That shouldn't be the only criteria, okay? So let's keep qualifying things so that if you happen to take stuff back, it will be that, but we did leave a door open. So just because a person has a whole lot of degrees, for Sunday school purposes, there has to be some history of faithfulness. And sometimes those people make great DCEs when they come from the little ones to the tall ones, they've done it all. They've washed dishes for Vacation Bible School, they've served the crackers, they've done all of those things. They worked on a budget when there was no budget. That's what that history comes from, all right? Generally, up here, and I think we said it already, the DCE assists the pastor in planning, implementing, and overseeing the training needs of the church. Before this is effective, though, the pastor has to say to the people, auxiliary heads, we're in our meeting. He's the pastor. What we're going to do for this year, 2013, I want to have evangelism, I want to do this, I want to do this outreach, but I want each of the auxiliaries to be in on some type of training in the area of evangelism. Now, the DCE can't just come up to these people and say, well, the pastor said. Pastors, you got to take ownership. They got to see you in action and know that you endorse what this person is doing. How's that? Yes. That good? Amen. Okay. All right, so we've already know the DC is going to get his or her instructions from the vision of the pastor. Now, what about the superintendent? Same thing, have a history of faithfulness, recognizes the strengths and talents of each staff member. Oh, you can have some superintendents, and they really, I'm not talking about discernment of spirits or anything like that, but they do have a knowledge of what it takes for a person to work with different age groups of people. If you have a temperament of, these kids are getting on my nerves, I don't care how good you are, you don't need to be there. Right. When you come on Sunday, and that's just what I say sometimes, and I will always say it, you are coming to be helped, you're coming to be loved, you're coming to be accepted. You are not coming for somebody who just didn't want to be here this morning, but because I am the superintendent. Take them out. Take them out. If they don't, just say, if you don't really want this position, and I wanted you to do it, but it's not working out, don't be afraid to say it's not working out. Don't be afraid, all right? But if it's working out, because sometimes Satan does come to kind of tear you up and pull you apart. So make sure, pastors, that you know who you're taking out and for what, all right? I want you to know that. Right. Just because some students come to you and say, I don't like him. My son now the baby boy is 30, his mama getting old, 36. And I remember when he was in the 5th grade, he came to me and he said, Mom, I don't want to be in Elder Larkin's class. Elder Larkins was a big guy. He said, he's mean. And what happened, some of the other kids, their parents were taking him out of Elder Larkin's class. And he said, so can I come out? No.
No.
You can't come out, because I do know when you come, that's just the way how kids are. So he stayed in Elder Larkin's class, and one day I said, when is my son going to be promoted? He said, Sister Thomas, he won't leave. And to this day, he loves Elder Larkin, but sometimes we have to truly make some decisions for our children, okay? And a good superintendent will be that superintendent who will not just say, well, I'm taking them out of that class because they don't like that class. That's what your good superintendent, that's where those good people skills come in. All right, now, the Sunday school superintendent consults, say that word, consults. Talks with the DCE on the curricula that they're going to use. No superintendent says, this is what we're going to use. We're using this, and I don't care what nobody says, this is what we're using. We're using this particular, and I would hope it get an apostolic light, but this is just what, she or he needs to have contact with this person. All right? Now, all of us are trying to use our apostolic light. Am I right?
Amen.
Amen. Let me see them hands. It's okay. All right. I figured you writing something. That's all right. But anyway, they consult. Nobody dictates. But what we try to do, what they should try to do is work together. Just because we're in an office does not mean that my word is the last word. All of us have somebody to account to, all right? So when these two people can really talk, if they're two different people, and consult, this is a very wonderful thing, all right? Superintendents really don't have time on Sunday mornings to do a whole lot, but making certain that that 1 hour, 45 minutes is just geared to Sunday school, all right? Okay. Got a scenario, and I just needed to. You have been a member of the Fireside Pentecostal Church for 25 years. You served as Sunday school superintendent for more than 15 years. To your knowledge, there has never been a DCE position at your church until the pastor named Elder Brown, there he is right here, raise your hand, Elder Brown, a new member as a DCE. You're not quite sure what his role is, but you know he is all over the place on Sunday morning.